ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जायमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिके। ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामीनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, reading from Srimad Bhagavatam by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. We are reading from Canto 3, Chapter 26, Fundamental Principles of Material Nature. So, yesterday we are at text 3. Anadiratma Purusho Nirguno Prakrite Parah Pratyagdhama Swayam Jyotir Vishwam Yena Samanvitam. So, we are in the purport. Yeah, please continue.
The existence of consciousness everywhere is not temporary. It is without beginning. And because it is without beginning, it is also without end. The theory that consciousness develops at a certain stage of material combination is not accepted here. For the consciousness which exists everywhere is said to be without beginning. The materialistic or atheistic theory stating that there is no soul, that there is no God, and that consciousness is the result of a combination of matter is not accepted. Matter is not beginningless, it has a beginning. As this material body has a beginning, the universal body does also. And as our material body has begun on the basis of our soul, the entire gigantic universal body has begun on the basis of the Supreme Soul. The Vedanta Sutra says, Janmadi As. This entire material exhibition, its creation, its growth, its maintenance, and its dissolution is an emanation from the Supreme Person. In Bhagavad Gita also the Lord says, I am the beginning, the source of birth of everything. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is described here. He is not a temporary person, nor does he have a beginning. He is without a cause, and he is the cause of all causes. Varaha means transcendental, beyond the creative energy. The Lord is the creator of the creative energy. We can see that there is a creative energy in the material world, but he is not under this energy. He is Prakriti Paraha, beyond this energy. He is not subjected to the threefold miseries created by the material energy because he is beyond it. The modes of material nature do not touch him. It is explained here, Swayam Jyoti. He is light himself. We have experience in the material world of one light's being a reflection of another, just as moonlight is a reflection of the sunlight. Sunlight is also the reflection of the Brahma Jyoti. Similarly, Brahma Jyoti, the spiritual effulgence, is a reflection of the body of the Supreme Lord. This is confirmed in the Brahma Samhita. Yasya Prabhaha Prabhavataha. The Brahma Jyoti or Brahman effulgence is due to his bodily luster. Therefore, it is said here, Swayam Jyoti. He himself is light. He His light is distributed in different ways as the Brahma Jyoti, as sunlight, as the moonlight. Bhagavad Gita confirms that in the spiritual world there is no need of sunlight, moonlight, or electricity. The Upanishads also confirm this because the bodily luster of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is sufficient to illuminate the spiritual world. There is no need of sunlight, moonlight, or any other light or electricity. This self-illumination also contradicts theory that the spirit soul or the spiritual consciousness develops at a certain point in material combination. The term Swayam Jyoti indicates that there is no tinge of anything material or any material reaction. It is confirmed here that the concept of the Lord's all pervasiveness is due to his illumination everywhere. We have experienced that the sun is situated in one place, but the sunlight is diffused all around for millions and millions of miles. That is our practical experience. Similarly, although the Supreme Light is situated in his personal abode, Vaikuntha or Vrindavan, his light is diffused not only in the spiritual world but beyond that. In the material world also, that light is reflected by the sun, and the sunlight is reflected by the moon. Thus, although he is situated in his own abode, his light is distributed all over the spiritual and material worlds. The Brahma Samhita 5.37 confirms this. Goloka eva nivasati akhilatma utaha. He is living in Goloka, but still he is present all over the creation. He is super soul of everything, the supreme personality of Godhead, and he has innumerable transcendental qualities. It is also concluded that although he is undoubtedly a person, he is not a Purusha of this material world. Mayavadi philosophers cannot understand that beyond this material world there can be a person. Therefore, they are impersonalists. But it is explained very nicely here that the personality of Godhead is beyond material existence.
So we are seeing now the further attributes of the personality of Godhead. Because the shloka describes the supreme personality of Godhead. Further, Srila Prabhupada explains, existence of consciousness is not temporary. So sometimes there is understanding that spirit comes from matter and there is an evolution of material combinations in such a way that ultimately the life is developed, typical Darwin's theory. Prabhupada says this is not so. Why? Because what doesn't have end will not have beginning. This is an important point. And therefore it is called as Sanatana. Living entity doesn't have end. And this we have seen in Bhagavad Gita. Right? Jatasya hi dhruvam mrityu dhruvam janma mritasya cha. Or, na hanyate hanyamane sharire. That the living entity doesn't have an end. And that which doesn't have end doesn't have beginning as well. Typical WhatsApp forward in the latest India-Pakistan war was like this. India always existed because Pakistan took a birth in 1947, 14th October. Whatever takes birth has a death, and which doesn't have birth doesn't have death also. Okay, so this is the case with consciousness. Consciousness doesn't begin at any point of time; it is always existing. Right. Further, Srila Prabhupada explains here, and this is confirmed by Vedanta Sutra, and the beginning of everything, or the original consciousness, is the supreme personality of Godhead. The consciousness is also Paraha. So Srila Prabhupada is explaining every words here. Prakrite Paraha. The Prakrite Paraha means the Lord is beyond the creative energy. In fact, the energy of the Lord, it comes from the Lord, and Lord is not under that energy. This is very important. So Lord is beyond creative energy. And this is confirmed by Shankaracharya. Narayanam Parovyaktya. The next word described here is Swayam Jyotihi. The Supreme Lord is the light personified himself. Right. So Srila Prabhupada says, in the material world, we need light to light the object. But one light comes from another light. Just like electricity largely comes from whatever source it is, either it is coming from the coal or hydropower. Ultimately, it is coming from the sun. Or Srila Prabhupada says, even moonlight is a reflection of the sunlight. But where the sun is receiving energy, the sun is receiving energy from the Brahma Jyoti. And the Brahma Jyoti is nothing but the bodily expansion, bodily rays. Yasya Prabha, Prabhavato, Jagadanda Koti. So this is how Swayam, the Supreme Lord, the self-effulgent, Swayam Jyoti, that is Brahman. And then to Surya, to moonlight. And this is how the one light is reflected into another. And that is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, that because the Supreme Lord and the spiritual abodes, they are Swayam Jyoti, There is no need of external illumination. Na tadbhasayate suryo, na shashanko, na pavakaha. Pavaka means artificial source of energy, electricity. Yad gatvan nivartante tadhama paramam mama. Srila Prabhupada says the word Swayam Jyoti also contradicts the theory that the consciousness is developed at one point of time. In fact, that Darwin's very famous voyage, where he put up the photographs of more than 5 lakh photographs he took of different species, and speculated that this may have come after this may have come after this, origin of life. So in his return journey, he saw some of the species and he saw some of the fish having electricity on their tail, electric lamp on their tail. And this is, you can read all this in, if you go to YouTube and watch some Discovery Channel or watch some, hidden archaeology, then you will get all this. And these evidences were completely discarded. So this is Swayam Jyotihi. Prabhupada says, the Lord is stationed at one place, and through his energy and through his prakash, he is reaching far out. The consciousness of the Lord reaches everywhere. Just like the sun is situated at one place, but through the sunshine, the sun is reaching throughout the universe. Similarly, Goloke eva nivasati akhilatma bhuto. The Lord is situated in Golok Vrindavan, but he is far omnipresent everywhere and even within the living entities. Mayavadis cannot understand this. Param bhava majananto. This we have seen. Mayavadis, they think Lord to be like Maya, and Lord to be like ordinary living entity. And for them, it is very difficult to understand these truths. And therefore, they are happy concluding the Lord is impersonal. Text 4. Sa esha prakritim sukshmam daivim gunamayim vibhu yadruchaivam upagatam abhyapadyat leelaya. Translation.
Translation: as his pastime, that Supreme Personality of Godhead, the greatest of the great, accepted the subtle material energy, which is invested with three material modes of nature and which is related with Vishnu. Purport: in this verse, the word Guna Mayim is very significant. Daivam means the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Guna Mayim means invested with the three modes of material nature. When the material energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears, this Gunamayim energy acts as a manifestation of the energies of the three modes. It acts as a covering. The energy emanated from the Supreme Personality of Godhead manifests in two ways: as an emanation from the Supreme Lord and as a covering of the Lord's face. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that because the whole world is illusioned by the three modes of material nature, the common conditioned soul, being covered by such energy, cannot see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The example of a cloud is very nicely given. All of a sudden, there may appear a big cloud in the sky. This cloud is perceived in two ways. To the sun, the cloud is a creation of its energy, but to the ordinary common man, in the conditioned state, it is a covering to the eyes. Because of the cloud, the sun cannot be seen. It is not that the sun is actually covered by the cloud, only the vision of the ordinary being is covered. Similarly, although Maya cannot cover the Supreme Lord, which is beyond Maya, the material energy covers the ordinary living entities. Those conditioned souls who are covered are individual living entities, and he from whose energy Maya is created is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In another place in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the first canto, 7th chapter, it is stated that Vyasadeva, by his spiritual vision, saw the Supreme Lord and the material energy standing behind him. This indicates that material energy cannot cover the Lord, just as darkness cannot cover the sun. Darkness can cover a jurisdiction which is very insignificant in comparison to that of the sun. Darkness can cover a small cave, but not the open sky. Similarly, the covering capacity of the material energy is limited and cannot act on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is therefore called Vibhu. As the appearance of a cloud is accepted by the sun, so the appearance of the material energy at a certain interval is accepted by the Lord. Although his material energy is utilized to create the material world, this does not mean that he is covered by that energy. Those who are covered by the material energy are called conditioned souls. The Lord accepts the material energy for his material pastimes in creation, maintenance, and dissolution. But the conditioned soul is covered. He cannot understand that beyond this material energy, there is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the cause of all causes. Just as a less intelligent person cannot understand that beyond the covering of the clouds, there is a bright sunshine. Hare Krishna.
Now, text 4 it says, as his pastime, Vibhuhu, the greatest of the great Supreme Lord, accepted the subtle material energy which is invested with three modes of material nature, Gunamai, and which is related to Lord Vishnu, Daivim. So this is Sa Esha Prakritim Sukshma, very, very subtle, Sukshma, Daivim, Gunamaim, Vibhuhu. So Vibhu, Daivim, Gunamaim, Sukshma, right? In the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, very nice purport this is. Srila Prabhupada says the word Gunamaim is very significant. Daivim means the energy of the Supreme Lord, and Gunamayi means which is made up of three moods, material nature, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. And by this energy, the Lord creates Maya, which covers the living entity in one way, right? Nikatastha Maya Tara Chapatiya Dhare, that is one. And the second is, it also covers the living entity's vision of the Supreme Lord. So it appears that it covers the Supreme Lord. And the classic example Srila Prabhupada gives, the example of the cloud. It is because of the sun, the cloud is created. Who creates the cloud? Sun creates the cloud. Sun will evaporate the water and the cloud is created. Now this cloud covers two people. The cloud covers the living entity. Just like, similarly, Maya covers the living entity. The cloud covers the living entity. Cloud affects the living entity. There is a torrential rains are going on because of the cloud. So cloud is affecting, right? And cloud also covers the Supreme Lord. In what way? Cloud cannot cover the sun, right? But the cloud covers the vision of the citizen, that because of the cloud, they cannot see the sun. Though they think that, oh, cloud is covering the sun. No, sun is far greater. Prabhupada says beyond the cloud, there is a bright sunlight. Cloud is far superior, far greater, but still vision of the people, vision of the sun, of the people cannot see the sun, and that is covered by the cloud, which is creation by the sun. So similarly, the Lord creates his Gunamayi energy, and that energy affects the living entity, and that energy covers the vision of living entity, and therefore the living entity cannot see the Supreme Lord. Or if sees the Supreme Lord, they will see, oh, today looks like the sun is covered by cloud. No, sir, sun is too huge. Sun is billions of times greater than the cloud. Sun is creator of the cloud. But your vision is covered by the cloud. Right. Similarly, the living entity may think, oh, Lord is also under Maya, the Lord is also under Karma, Lord is also this or that. Because you are under Maya, because you are under Karma, and because your vision is controlled by Maya and Karma, you project those things on the Supreme Lord, and this is how the Lord's energy acts in two ways. Prabhupada says in another place also it is said that when in the first canto, 7th chapter, Vedavyas, when he had this realization of the Supreme, he saw the Supreme Lord along with Maya, Maya taking full shelter of the Supreme Lord, Mayam Chatat Samashritam. Maya, Lord controlling Maya fully. So this is, vision of the Vedavyas, who is writing Srimad Bhagavatam. So darkness has its jurisdiction, but darkness cannot control the sun. The sun is far brighter than the cloud. And so this is, another thing is cloud is temporary. Similarly, the manifestation of Maya is also temporary. Lord accepts material energy for some material pastimes to be performed. Pastimes, material pastimes means pastimes in the material world. And, but, the Supreme Lord exists just like the bright sunlight, Prabhupada says, sunshine exists beyond the existence of the cloud. Text 5. Gunair vichitra srujatim sarupa prakritim praja vilokya mumuhe satyah sa iha jnana guhaya. Translation.
Divided into varieties of her threefold modes, material nature creates the forms of the living entities. And the living entities, seeing this, are illusioned by the knowledge covering feature of the illusory energy. Purport. Material energy has a power to cover knowledge, but this covering cannot be applied to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is applicable only to the praja, or those who are born with material bodies, the conditioned souls. The different kinds of living entities vary according to the modes of material nature, as explained in Bhagavad Gita and other Vedic literature. In Bhagavad Gita 7.12, it is very nicely explained that although the modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance are born of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is not subject to them. In other words, the energy emanating from the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot act on him. It acts on the conditioned souls, who are covered by the material energy. The Lord is the Father of all living entities because he impregnates material energy with the conditioned souls. Therefore, the conditioned souls get bodies created by the material energy, whereas the Father of the living entities is aloof from the three modes. It is stated in the previous verse that the material energy was accepted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in order that he might exhibit pastimes for the living entities who wanted to enjoy and lord it over the material energy. This world was created through the material energy of the Lord for the so called enjoyment of such living entities. Why this material world was created for the sufferings of the conditioned souls is a very intricate question. There is a hint in the previous verse in the word Lilaya, which means for the pastimes of the Lord. The Lord wants to rectify the enjoying temperament of the conditioned souls. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita that no one is the enjoyer but the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This material energy is therefore created for anyone who pretends to enjoy. An example can be cited here that there is no necessity for the government's creation of the separate police department, but because it is a fact that some of the citizens will not accept the state laws, a department to deal with criminals is necessary. There is no necessity, but at the same time, there is a necessity. Similarly, there was no necessity to create this material world for the sufferings of the conditioned souls. But at the same time, there are certain living entities known as Nitya Baddha who are eternally conditioned. We say that they have been conditioned from the time immemorial because no one can trace out when the living entity, the part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, became rebellious against the supremacy of the Lord. It is a fact that there are two classes of men, those who are
Yeah, I
obedient to the
think
laws.
it's a huge purport. We will just go into sections. Text 5. Divided into the varieties of threefold modes, material nature creates the forms of the living entities. Material nature creates forms of the living entities. So when we say 84 lakh, right? So there are different forms, and there are each form will have different states of the consciousness that will coming later. Okay, so these are forms of the living entities, and the living entities seeing this are illusioned by the avaranatmika shakti of the Lord, that is knowledge covering feature of the illusory energy. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains material energy has a power to cover knowledge. This is extremely powerful. Material energy has power to cover the knowledge. But this covering is not applied to the Supreme Lord. Supreme Lord is creator of all the energies, he is beyond all this. It is only applicable to Praja. So if you can see the word, Gunair Vaichitra Srujitim, Sarupa Prakritim Praja. So this knowledge covering aspect is applicable only for Praja and not the Raja, the Supreme Lord. It is only applicable to Praja. So there are different kinds of living entities according to the three modes of material nature. And Srila Prabhupada quotes Bhagavad Gita 7.12. Ye chaiva sattvika bhava rajasas tamasasye matte evaiti tan viddhi natvaham teshu temai. That all states of being are manifested by the Lord's energy. Sattvagun, Rajogun, Tamogun. So, although it manifests by the Supreme Lord, the Lord is independent and he is not under the control of three modes of material nature. This is very important to understand. Right. Lord is the Father, living entities are the Praja, and he is beyond the three modes of material energy, material nature. So the Supreme Lord creates this material world for the Praja, and the paradox here is the material world which is created is actually Dukhalayam Ashashvatam. And it is also called as the Leelaya of the Supreme Lord. It's one of the pastime, albeit a material world pastime. So somebody may ask, why this material world is created for the suffering of the conditioned soul, and which is the Leela of the Supreme Lord. Right. So Prabhupada says, no, that is not the case. That the Supreme Lord wants to rectify the living entities, and the process of rectification comes through this material world. And Prabhupada says, just like there is an example. What is the example? That whenever you are planning a city, say, you go to some very plain land, a deserted land, or very, very plain ground you go, and you plan a city, Nagar Rachana Vibhag, okay. So every department will be planned, and along with every department, there will be also police department will be planned, and along with many buildings, there will be also prison will be planned. And somebody will say, oh, what are you going to do in prison? They will say, we will just punish people. And you say, oh, how cruel you are. Why you are planning punishment of people? Then you say, no, sir, that is not the case. Eventually, there will be some criminals. And to make sure that all other people are living properly, the criminals have to be separated and have to be treated differently. And therefore, although the state will not like this, but still the state has to plan for a police department, and state has to plan for the rectification process, that is the prison department. Similarly, Prabhupada says, similarly, unwillingly, in a sense, the Lord creates this material world which acts as Durga. The living entities are explained here as Nitya Baddha. Why? Because their conditioning is never stress, and one cannot stress out the conditioning of the living entity when they become rebellious of the Supreme Lord, and therefore they are called as Nitya Baddha. So we will conclude here and continue tomorrow. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Prabhupada.
Thank you,
Prabhu.
everybody. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Bye. Bye.